Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. Today's episode is going to be your thoughts on Pillar Talk and the roadmap changes, since they're kind of the same. This week's Pillar Talk was, in my opinion, not really a Pillar Talk. I guess the way they do development is sort of a pillar, but at the same time, when we talk about Pillar Talk, pillars come from the pillars that Star Citizen needs to hit in order to be what they consider their minimum viable product. Persistence, object container streaming, server meshing, organizations, gameplay, those things that they talked about at CitizenCon, I think 2 years ago. And this Pillar Talk was none of that. This, to me, was an update that we could have had on Inside Star Citizen about, hey guys, we're changing the way we do development slightly, and here's why, and this is how you're affected by it. And they could have done it in that setting and been fine. What I would have liked to have seen from this Pillar Talk was, we're working hard on server-side OCS. We're hoping for it to be in 3.8. It might be pushed to 3.9, which, you know, if you paid $275 and sat down at a dinner in Germany with Chris Roberts, you would know. But if you're just a regular backer that supports the project, pays the developers' salaries, and continues the ongoing production of this project, you wouldn't know. So that's the kind of things that I would have liked to see from this, but not the things that we didn't. Also, I would like to see Chris Roberts on Pillar Talk, or Chris Roberts on something at some point. Now, to pull back the negativity a little bit, they are doing I think it's a Star Citizen Live this coming week, that is any questions that you want to ask about the upcoming roadmap changes and staggered release and all that, we're able to ask there. So this is where they're at, and they did it in a cleaner, more production value video, which we've talked a lot about Pillar Talk. I did a video just the other day about Pillar Talk and how production value doesn't really mean anything. It's the content that matters, and it's been lacking. So this video was no different, right? It definitely lacked in the kind of content that we're looking forward to from video content from Star Citizen, and it was more of just how they do development and something we're maybe not that super interested in. So, with that said, the roadmap changes are something I'm very pleased with, but I'm a Star Citizen streamer, and I post these videos and some other things on YouTube, so for me, the quality of life in the game right now is more important, I feel, than it should be for like most backers probably. And that's why I want to do this episode, is I want to hear what you think, what you want. Do you want them to, I guess, hammer in features, bugs galore, and then worry about quality of life? Or do we prefer this way of going about it much slower, which this sort of development style is even slowing down, in my opinion, is probably going to slow down the development even further, where teams were going to be pushing in features every quarter. Now teams have 2 quarters to work on their features. So that's what they talked about in this week's Pillar Talk. So just a short overview of it is they're doing what they're called a staggered release. So if, let's say, the US Feature Team 1 worked on a feature and US Feature Team 2 worked on a feature, they were both working on a feature for, let's say, 3.7. Now, what they want to do is US Feature Team 1 works on a feature for 3.8, and US Feature Team 2 works on a feature for 3.7. When the 3.7 feature team is done, they work on 3.9. So they always have 2 patches to, well, they have a full patch and a half, I guess, to work on whatever feature they're working on. So they can schedule, they can sprint, and they can bug fix, more importantly, the features that they're working on. So I feel like Evocati builds are going to be much more stable, therefore testing is going to be a lot easier. PTU builds are going to be much more stable and probably less long, and we're going to have much more time on live, which means less wipes. Just overall, I think things are going to be a lot better. So the content of this week's Pillar Talk, I was super excited about. But I wanted more from Pillar Talk, obviously. So I want to hear your thoughts on it, and we're going to get to our first caller right now. I am having some audio issues, so do bear with me if it is represented poorly in this video. I apologize. And our first caller is Shadowhunter255. Shadow, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly. You hear me?
Great. Yes, I do.
Fantastic. All right. So normally you and I have different opinions on things, which is good. It's okay.
Sure.
But on this, you and I are actually pretty. I want to paraphrase what you said in your live stream that you had with Noob was in the chat.
Okay. Which I
that
never
at the end of the day,
Noob.
Yes, and to be honest, I don't know if Noob deserved it, but I can understand why you're getting upset. And what I was going to say was, to be honest, okay, so Pillar Talk this week wasn't a Pillar Talk. It was a general announcement that they are changing the way they do development. Mm-hmm. Now, this is big because for weeks, everybody has been going on about development. Everybody's been wondering what's happening with 3.7. What's happening with 3.8?
The roadmap wasn't getting updated.
Exactly. There was no updates happening on the roadmap. People were starting to freak out. It's going to get delayed, blah, 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 blah. And obviously the reason why they didn't update it over that 2-week period or week period, whatever it was because they were deciding whether to change the system or not. Now, we've had CIG come out. Sure, it could have been its own video. It could have been a video they put up yesterday or even Tuesday or Monday or whatever it may be. It could have been its separate own video. But CIG have come out and said, guys, we're not only admitting we've got a problem with the past 2 patches, this is what we're going to do to fix it.
Yeah.
And everybody is losing their shit because it wasn't Pillar Talk. It's like, guys, CIG is being upfront and honest with what they're doing. This is something that everybody has supposedly. Yeah, this is what everybody's wanted. Like, why is everybody upset over CIG doing something that we're being crucifying them for not doing? It's
because they're not upset at CIG. They're upset at the people who make the video content. And that, I posted a video a couple days ago about it, and that's like the biggest thing is that there's this massive disconnect with Lando and whoever they work with, and what we want to hear.
Yeah,
and what we want to see.
Yeah, I get that, and you and I get that point. And my argument to that is they had a choice of they could stick it in inside Star Citizen. They could have stuck it in Pillow Talk. They could have stuck it in Star Citizen Live. Or they could go off and make another show as a once-off sort of, here's an upload on a Tuesday, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Look, it probably could have gone in inside Star Citizen. It could have made that episode a bit longer, and then Pillow Talk could have dealt with the actual things that we want to hear about. We want to hear about how 3.7 is going, what's happening with that patch, what's happening with OCS, server-side OCS, server meshing and stuff like that. I get that, and we're going to get that next week. If you see a lot of the questions that have been asked in that thread, a lot of them are not only about 3.7, but about other things as well. And so they should be answered as well. But I don't know. Sometimes I think this community has a habit of being salty and not wanting to give Star Citizen credit where credit is due. Look, Pillar Talk, it wasn't a Pillar Talk. Fine, we all admit that. But we have them telling us what they're doing with their development. It is unprecedented where they actually sit down and say, this is what's going to be happening. This is how we're going to be doing the new plan. And this is how it's going to outlay for the next 6, 12 months, whatever. Not only that, but admitting that they've screwed up the previous 2 patches. When was the last time we got Chris to sit there and admit that a patch wasn't the best? Like, it's a stretch to get him to admit.
Dude, how many times
sometimes.
have we gotten Chris to speak on camera in the last 9 months? Once.
Yeah, exactly.
Once.
Yeah. And obviously, I want him to be on this new Pillow Talk episode. I want him to be on Star Citizen Live. I want him there. I don't know if John Crew will be there because I presume he'll be back in. Maybe put him on like as another input for the device or whatever it may be. But I don't know. I think the community just has a habit of bitching and moaning and complaining, and they just want something to bitch, moan, and complain about. And the problem is that if people don't get themselves out of this habit, it's going to become a habit of bitch and moaning, complaining about everything, and the community is going to go top. You know, like this, I say, I look at like Reddit, for example, and you know, if you don't post screenshots on Reddit, you know, they try and vilify you in the comments. It's like, you know, like I've put a few of my videos on there, and you know, and they're like, blah, 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 and they all bitch and moan to the point where some of the people on Reddit turn around and actually had to go at the other Reddit users saying, well, what are we? Nothing more than screenshots? You know, and like people are starting to become aware of how toxic, and I don't want the rest of the Star Citizen community to become like that. So I don't know. I think people in the community just need to eat some concrete and harden the fuck up. But yeah. As for the roadmap, I love it. I love 3.7. I love the fact that we're getting PvP mining. I love the fact we're getting mission sharing. I love the fact that we're getting. There was another thing that was really cool. What was the other big thing? Oh, caves.
Caves.
I really love the fact that we.
Caves with the first person mining.
Yeah. So like this 3.7 patch, at first I thought, okay. When it was first announced, I thought 3.7 was going to be a bit of a quality of life patch, but this is all going to be. Sounds like it's mostly going to be gameplay. So yeah. I think it's. I'm pretty cool for it. I'm pretty happy for it, and but yeah, no, I just that's I don't get why the community was. I get why they're upset, but I'm also thinking, hey guys, glass half full. CIG has been upfront and honest and communicating with us about what they're going to do with the development of the game that we're all backing.
If there wasn't shit episodes of Inside Star Citizen for the last 3 weeks, this wouldn't be an issue.
Oh, this week was all right. This week was
all right because of one feature part of it. The rest of Inside Star Citizen was a please buy this ship, please buy this merch. So to me, it's still the same fucking thing.
I don't know. See, look, if they're not going to, if that's the argument you're going to make about them showing off ships and stuff like that, then anytime they show off how good a ship looks, you can make that argument of buy my ship.
Okay, it's fine to have that, but then another feature is talking about mouse pads, and if you want to buy them, buy them.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed this week's Inside Star Citizen.
I did too.
I kind of like. I like the mouse pads.
About the UI.
Yeah, I like the whole thing. I thought the UI was great. I think the rest of it was good. I didn't have any problems with the rest of Inside Star Citizen this week.
To be honest with you, I didn't either. I'm just saying, like, the content that is in these episodes are not the content that the community is looking for. It's just what it comes down to. More things like building blocks, less things like QA features. And that's why when you have a pillar talk that is not about features that are features in the game, period, then people are going to be upset. And that's the only reason they're upset. They're sitting here waiting of what the fuck is going on with 3.7? Why haven't we seen anything from it? And this does tell you the why. Like, why aren't you seeing anything from 3.7? They did a great job of it. But all I'm saying is I understand why they're upset, and I feel it's absolutely justified, even though you don't. And that's where I'm
Yeah.
coming from. Is I feel it's justified. You may not feel it is. At least maybe not. And I don't necessarily feel it's justified to the extent that people take it. Because people
No.
take it to this level of insanity. Like, we always have to take a step back and realize, like, this is a video game. These are real people that are making this video game. So let's take it easy here, a little, and then, yeah. But at the same time, I understand why they're upset.
So my argument to that would be, let's see how it goes on Star Citizen Live this week. Let's see how that, which is what I'm dubbing is basically a pillar talk. Let's see how that pillar talk goes. If that is fine, if they're going to go through and they're going to talk about the pillars and they're going to answer all the questions, and and CR is on there, or the pillar directors are on there, or whatever it may be, then I think that this whole argument over this previous pillar talk is kind of moot.
Okay.
Because the way I'm looking at this pillar talk at the moment, this is the pre-episode of pillar talk. The real pillar talk that we're going to get, it's going to be Star Citizen Live next week. That's the way I'm looking at it. Call me glass half full kind of guy, I suppose, but that's the way I see it. Is that this week was them outlining what we needed to know in regards to development. Next week, it's going to be them answering any questions that we have regarding staggered development. I think pillars are also being asked in there. People are even asking about ships. So yeah, we'll just have to see what they answer. But I don't know. I feel that sometimes the community is just overly salty, and it's just like, take a step back. And I think it also comes as a point where people are so laser focused on everything that happens in the Star Citizen community. They're getting lost because they're seeing the trees, but they're not seeing the forest. Like they come through and they every week, every time a new information comes out, everybody just absorbs it like a sponge. And then they sit there and complain when there's nothing to absorb. Like, for example, if they go on about 3.7 inside Star Citizen for the next 4 weeks, what are they going to cover? Caves. They've already done that 2 times already. They're going to cover FPS mining. We could probably talk about that. We're going to talk about harvestables. That's been covered 2 or 3 times already. There's nothing really besides FPS mining that hasn't already been covered 2 or 3 times in
Physical
any previous Star Citizen. Yeah, even that's been covered a few times. They've even mentioned that a few times.
When has that ever been mentioned?
That's about never 2 or 3 weeks ago. They mentioned it.
What?
Yeah, they talked about. Yeah, they talked about it.
When they talked about harvestables, that you would maybe put them on your inventory, but they've never actually sat there and mentioned them and discussed them at all.
I'm pretty sure they also talked about the fact that you're using your guns, putting your guns into the gun racks, because you won't be able to carry them on your inventory and stuff.
That's not the inventory system, no. This is like they showed a backpack in the thing.
Yeah.
So this is totally different.
Well, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, so we got 4 weeks or whatever before it's supposedly coming out, and what we're going to cover. I disagree.
Okay. But all right, Shadow, because I've let you go for a while, and we got some other people on the line. I'd love to talk more. Obviously, I love our conversations, but as always, I got to cut it short sometimes. I apologize.
Yeah, I want to hear what ASN has to say. Actually, to be honest, too. So
he's not here today. I don't see him.
Yeah, he's in the green room.
Oh, he is? Beautiful. Okay, so we'll hear some ASN and IDD. It looks like. All right, Shadow. I will talk to you later.
Thanks, guys.
Be good, buddy.
Bye.
Bye. Right, and then this, and we should have Henrik ready to go. Hello, Henrik. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hey,
Yes, I can hear.
You're super quiet. I can't hear you.
Oh.
Let me turn you up a little bit.
Turn my mic up. Oh. Okay.
Turn your mic up a bit, yeah.
Yeah, I'm turning it.
Keep going.
A little bit.
Keep going.
1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. You have turned me up on your end.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Okay.
As high as I can go. 1 second.
I can.
I would put it up a little bit more if you can.
I can turn it up.
There
What
you go.
about now?
That's good.
Is that better? All
Yeah,
right.
except I can hear myself.
Can you hear yourself?
Not anymore.
Okay.
All right. It's a good start to this call. Okay. So what's up?
Really good start. Actually, I think it was quite interesting, and the way I see it is, what could they have talked about the Pillar Talk they already haven't talked about for 3 months, in the last 3 months?
I think what I said earlier was really important is server-side OCS was something that they shared at their concierge dinner. They shared that they weren't sure if it was going to make it into 3.8, and they said it might be into 3.9, but they haven't said that publicly to their entire player base yet. They said it to fucking 20 people who spent more money than they should on dinner. And I really don't think that's fair. I think that is not cool.
I can follow in that and see, yeah, I'm totally in with you with that.
Right?
But on the other hand, the Pillar Talk we got for me is really cool because I have it in school right now. Exactly what they were talking about.
Staggered development?
Yes.
Cool.
Not exactly stack development, but agile development. How you're working in sprints, and I think one of the problems they have with their Jiras is they don't. Sometimes I don't feel they have the developments in and try to see how hard is those features they're putting in this quarter. Or why not? We in the last Friday we have something called poker. I can't remember it, but where it's where you have all the developments in one room and looking at each features how hard from 1 to I think it's 12 it goes from, and say how hard will it be for me and
to finish them.
Yes, and if it is over 8, you have to split the feature out in 2 features.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I know they have lots of meetings and stuff, but I have no idea. We don't. That's like they try to say they're really open with development, and they are extremely open. But there's still some things that we don't see on a regular basis. Like we have no idea what their meetings are like. Like sometimes they show video of them having meetings, but not very much. So I don't know. I don't know what else you want to add, but I think we're sort of on the same page that we found it interesting what they shared, and I don't know how you feel. Do you think it's going to work better than, especially somebody who's studying game development, do you think it's going to work better than what they've been doing?
Maybe because what I think they have been doing is a small waterfall development. Where,
what does that mean?
That means you are only working on these features in this period, and then you actually put them away and maybe fix them a little bit over, but you are putting them in a jar afterwards.
Okay, so yeah, so it's like a little small trickle of something that you're working on, and then eventually becomes like a big stream of the game.
Yeah,
and that's what Aaron said too. And like one of the things that I loved what Aaron said was that we want to make your gameplay experience good, and then add features on top of it. And they aren't happy with the base. The base is a broken mess, and it can't be in order for them to continue to add features on top of it. Because if the base is broken, the more you add on top, the more the base continues to break. And that's what we really dealt with in 3.5 and 3.6. It's really bad.
Yeah, I'm following in that, and they have to go back and fix the base or the foundation layer of the game.
Yeah.
But I don't think I have.
Yeah.
Oh, go
ahead. I was going to ask you, do you have anything else you want to add? But I think you were about to say you don't.
Yeah, I don't have any more else to add.
Well, thank you for your call, Henrik. And it's nice to see somebody who's like also studies game development and specifically like you took a class on this recently. So thanks for calling, man.
It isn't game development. I'm studying is programming.
Oh, just
overall.
general programming. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's similar, right?
It is very similar.
Cool. Well, all right, Henrik. Thanks for calling, man.
Yeah. See you.
Bye. All right, I have to set up our next caller here real quick. But yeah, that is interesting that he was just studying that, and well, he kind of is with me that it should make things a little bit better. But we're gonna go ahead and bring in a Bellatar here. What's up, Bellatar?
Hi, Mike. Can you hear
How's
me?
it going, man? I can hear you.
I'm great. How are you?
I'm well. I'm pretty happy with where the development's going. I hope it's better.
You're talking about the game now?
I'm talking about like 3.7, 3.8, 3.9, 4.0.
Yeah.
I hope it. I'm gonna put my faith in them again, blindly again, and hope I'm not gonna be disappointed again. By the next patch. So that's basically where I'm at. Is what they said to me makes sense, and we'll have to see.
Yeah, I pretty much agree on that. I also think they totally fumbled the delivery of that.
Of course.
Because when this video came on, I was really excited. I was really expecting in the sense of now you're going to get to watch the big heads talk detail for an hour, and it's going to be great.
Yeah.
And then I started playing the video. First thing I noticed, wait a minute, it's only 10 minutes long.
Yeah, which was like, what?
What?
And then you noticed no Chris Roberts, right?
That was exactly what I thought. They started panning the camera. I thought, where's Chris? And then I saw the three guys sitting there, and I thought, where's the rest? And then they did all those fancy cuts and warm light on real wood tables, and I just thought, cut the fancy crap. Fuck production quality, give us content.
Yeah.
So that was the intro of the video, and I was always already getting skeptical. And then, the content, I was a little bit surprised when they talked about this staggered development in the sense of, I was a little bit surprised they hadn't been doing this all along, because it sounded a little bit like every feature they ever made, they tried to cram into a 3-month time window, which sounds kind of, obvious that you might have features that are so huge that you will have to take longer, but I don't know whether that's a misinterpretation. But I thought the content that followed, I actually really liked. It made a lot of sense. I like the updated roadmap and what they're putting into it, because the philosophy behind that to say, well, okay, it sucks, exactly the sentence of John Crew that you pointed out at the beginning, it sucks to have a lot of stuff in, but nothing really works.
Yeah.
So it to me feels like they understand where the player base is at.
Mm-hmm.
And if they had, I don't know, if they had done an intro to this video, or maybe even a post up front, in the sense of, hi everyone, welcome to Pillar Talk, and I'm joined today by John Crew and Aaron Roberts. Chris couldn't make it because there can actually be no reason, but he's still not here. Maybe he's the one who we're buying into.
Yeah.
And then just announce this Pillar Talk may be different from what you expect, but please bear with us for a second. It's also going to be rather short, because we will be following up the announced changes with some other content down the road. Put that up front, and you might have avoided all this drama.
Do you think that they thought that this would be enough, and they reacted to our reaction, saying that next week we'll do an episode of Star Citizen Live with this ask your questions?
I don't know. I mean, if that was the case, it would be even worse. On the one hand, they show in the video that they understand our issues. On the other hand, they show that they have no idea how to deliver it properly, so they just touch on the basics. I don't know.
They understand some of our issues, but I think they missed a lot of them.
Yeah, the context, I don't know how I want to call it. How to communicate and what to prioritize in the surroundings. The content was good, But I think in my understanding, you would have to lead in a little bit more to talk about what they thought we were expecting and what to have some meta talk, if you will, around surrounding that content. But I don't know whether if it was just direction, okay, I'll take it. If it was planned all along, even better. But just take a second to address what obviously everyone would expect. I think that was what I was missing around that. And there is actually, I don't know, if you're doing this every 3 months, there should be a time window in which you can have Chris at least for 5 minutes or 10 minutes on the show.
It's ridiculous. That's ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
Nobody has that little time.
Yep.
If the issue then is like the preparation and setup, like, dude, you do all the camera setup and then you say, Chris, we're ready, and then you put a microphone on them, test 1, 2, 3, Chris Roberts, fidelity, and then you're done. Like, the mic should sound fine and you go. Like, how hard is that? I don't understand. Then you talk for an hour and you edit it and make it look as pretty as you want because for whatever reason that's important to them. I mean, that's the one thing that blows my mind is that the video content is exactly like the game now. Its production quality is through the roof, but it's empty as shit.
And even if it was a pre-recorded message, it'd be okay. Just hold your face into your iPhone, say, "Hi, I'm Chris. Unfortunately, I can't make it because I'm neck deep into coding server-side OCS," which he obviously is.
Or say it. One of them could have said it.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And maybe one final thing in regard to what I would like them to do. As I'm not a streamer, not a content creator, I don't care as much about a polished game and gameplay loops.
Yeah.
I'm more on the side, build it solidly from the basics, do your pillars, do server-side OCS, do whatever it takes to get this out as quickly as possible in the long run, which would of course mean some drawbacks in the short term for patches. Just build a solid base, explain to what you're doing. Maybe don't do polished community content, but more scruffy content in which you explain what you're actually building, even if it is tech talk I only understand half of. But that gets me hyped more than some pretty 10 minutes of, I don't know, good lighting.
They're really good. They've gotten really good at lighting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's about anything else? No. That's about my point. I think again, just like you said, everything's gonna be okay. It's just a little bit sad to see them fumble the delivery when they could have just added a few notes at the beginning and everyone would be hyped instead of upset.
Yeah, I mean, I think they would still be a little bit bummed out that they're not getting they didn't get information from that specific video, but at the same time, if they know that they're going to get to ask their questions and have them answered and upvote questions and all that stuff, then they actually have a say in what gets asked and answered, although Lando always takes things that we want to hear and not ask those questions for the reasons that they have, but those are their reasons and they have them, so can't really argue it.
The cast of that started in live better be good. If they blow that, it's gonna be real drama, I think.
Yeah. Hopefully, Chris Roberts, man. We'll see. But all right, Bellatar.
Yep.
I'll let you go, man.
Yep. Thanks for having me. Bye.
As always, appreciate it. All right, and our next caller is Hey, It's Nick. I'm not sure Hey, It's Nick I was ever called before. How you doing, Nick? How's it going?
Hey, it's Nick. It's going good.
What's up, man? Have you ever called him before?
Yeah, I used to be Nick the Canadian.
Ah, there you go.
That I'm also rebranding, so.
All right. So, what are your thoughts on this?
Honestly, I thought it was extremely disappointing the way they presented Pillar Talk, and it clearly was not a Pillar Talk. When we've had a Pillar Talk before, and the very start is saying this is what you can expect from Pillar Talks moving forward, and the next one was completely different. Off the rails, not what they said it
Pillar
should be.
Talk rebranded.
Right, but Outside of that, if the naming in a pillar talk, I think the information they provided was good, even if it was only one thing. I was expecting at least 4 things to be covered at least. There was no gameplay talks. There was no art talk. All we had was a studio talk on like what studio development's going to be progressing forward, which I think is good the way
and
they're
how
doing
it affects us,
You know,
and should
how
affect
it affects us.
positively.
And it's not like Sacred Development's like a bad thing. It's a really good thing. Like, I think the best comparison I can make to a Sacred Development is look at how good of a quality Call of Duty is able to produce each year.
Mhm.
But that's because they have a staggered development of other studios, of other teams making Call of Duty for over 2-3 years. So looking at that, we're getting a 2 to 3 year quality game every year, where we're going to be getting 6 months quality content in every 3 months for Star Citizen moving forward. Now the first 1 or 2 patches might be rough because they're getting used to it, but they'll be a lot better rough than what we've already had previously for the last 2 patches.
Yeah, and we clearly know that 3-month quality we don't like. It sucks.
Nope.
3.5 and 3.6 sucked. But what got put into 3.5 and 3.6 had some interesting qualities to it, like the law system and I guess. But the idea of it having 6 months of work and a lot more polish than we had before. We'll see. What are your thoughts on that? Do you really think they're not going to be rushing things in last minute like they have for the last 5 years?
I don't think things are going to be rushed in last minute anymore. I think now it's going to be should we put this back to the next team and then have them maybe work on it? But then it could have messed up scheduling too. Or do we move it to the next team and have them work on it for 6 months, or do you just have you guys sit back and wait on it for a year?
Mm-hmm.
So not for the other 6 months. So it'll be interesting. I think if things get pushed back, they'll be pushed back so that they can get proper quality versus things also just getting rushed in last minute. I don't think that's going to be a thing anymore. If things are rushed in, then they'll be pushed back to the next patch, and that means they'll have at least a team who's already stable with where they are on their build. Their build will be a lot more stable to implement that thing that needs to be rushed in.
Do you think we're going to get... sorry, I thought you were done. Do you think we're going to get more or less items on... for example, for 3.8, it's quite a ways away at this point.
Yep.
Do we think that we're going to see a lot of things still continue to move in and out of patches that are a little more distant? Obviously, 3.7 is probably pretty much set as far as features go. But for 3.8, 3.9, and 4.0, which 4.0 doesn't have many things in it because it's for the beginning, it's for next year, it probably still needs a lot of things scheduled for it. Yeah. But as we see things end up on 3.8, 3.9, and 4.0, do you expect to see things move in and out of those patches as much as we have recently? Or do you think to expect things to be more stable?
I think things will start stabilizing, and we'll start seeing things change less, and that they'll be more, set in stone now.
Mm-hmm.
There are obviously always going to be things that get moved back, bumped forward, and all that. Always, that's not going to change, but the amount of it should be less, and the severity of the patches. Think about how many times refueling, repair have all been, and salvage have always been pushed back for so long. I think now we're going to start seeing less of that amount of pushback and just start seeing it push back maybe 1 patch, maybe 2 if it's a major gameplay element, because now the teams are going to have a lot more time to work on that and add it in versus previously. So, and obviously we're always going to see things just pop up with out of the blue, with caves and hand mining that we got with this patch, which I was honestly surprised that they didn't even touch on in the pillar talk. The rocks that you've been working on, the hand mining, which is only brought up a few times, not really set in stone. We've literally had nothing on hand mining before, and now it's just it's coming in the next patch. And we literally had Inside Star Citizen and Pillar Talk, two videos before it was even pushed onto the roadmap, and no mention of it, no talks, no anything on it. Just here it is on the roadmap. We just put it on here. We could have talked about it, but
they may have talked about it and they just cut it out because they want to make sure they save it for Inside Star Citizen or something.
Yeah, I feel like they're definitely going to have a feature
Yeah.
on it on Inside Star Citizen, like dedicated to it, but like not even a brief mention of like this is what we're working on like right now. Like we're just it would have been nice to at least be like, hey, look out for cave and hand mining soon.
Yeah, and I mean, especially with this one, it was one of the positives that came out of the way they changed their development, right? So for this episode of Pillar Talk, if you were going to talk about something coming soon in 3.7, like wouldn't that caves and the mining in caves have been one of them?
Like, yeah. Also, and it isn't what Jared said about Inside Star Citizen is it should be talking about the next upcoming patch.
Yeah.
After they finish the last patch, and I feel like nothing's really been too talked about on the next patch. It's just kind of been.
It's just their
not
next
what they said it was.
Marketing push. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's all about marketing. It's just like, hey guys, marketing, and then now closer to the patch, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, and like one of the callers didn't really. I forgot who it was early on in the show today. Was like, I don't have issues with those things. Like obviously those things are going to be there. I don't really have issues with them either. But when it's so much marketing and so little of the what's actually going on in the game and the development and what we can expect for people who actually want to play the game, that's why I get upset when I see marketing stuff. I shouldn't, because it's what makes the game tick. It's what needs to happen, but
like
does it need to happen so much?
Yeah, like I don't mind if they sprinkle marketing everywhere, but having like dedicated videos that kind of feel like this is all for marketing, it's like, okay, now you're wasting my time now. It kind of feels like I
feel almost disrespected as a backer who has already spent a significant amount of money to get this project going. So, yeah. I don't know, is there anything else you want to add, Nick?
No, I think I'm good. You can off to the next.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
All right, have a good one.
Thanks for calling. Hey, it's Nick, formerly Nick. All right. So our next caller is a very much a regular on the show. IDDKFA. What's up, dude?
How's it going? What up? Fine.
So,
still busy, but
let's hear your thoughts.
So I want to start with like a lead up to my key takeaway from the recent Pillar Talk.
Mm-hmm.
There's the part where Aaron talks about how they are working on so many features that come in broken and how they want to get to a state where that's not happening anymore.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that's their goal. Of course, they want to deliver a good product and a good player experience. But expectations set by CIG, mainly via the roadmap, and reality rarely match.
Yeah.
It's like pre-2015, I supported the idea of building a great foundation for the game and then build on top of it.
Yeah.
Like building a house, you lay out the living room, kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, and you advance from there.
Mm-hmm.
Floor, walls, furniture, etc. But post 2015, with the introduction of their Planet Tech, they've expanded the features of the game by so much.
Yeah.
Like the rooms of your house aren't close to being done, and you simultaneously start working on a garage, garden, swimming pool, etc. That's just way too much of a workload for the entire team they had, and a nightmare to manage, which ultimately failed so far. Now, coming to my key takeaway from the Pillar Talk, my hot take, if you will, Eric did ask a question if they will reduce the features they have. And I think Aaron dodged the question a bit.
Okay.
Or not dodged, but mellowed it quite a bit, saying they still have a big list of features, but want to focus on a few features to increase the release quality and release them in an order that makes sense. So what I take away from this is that they aim to release 1 or 2 features a year. And I thought he was more so talking about professions. I think it's more likely to be just the one, but because he also mentioned, because he also mentioned that some features take 9 months in CIG time, right? And we know what that could mean.
Yeah. And well, the one thing, can I jump in and say about the kind of house reference is, don't you think that they instead of changing necessarily what the wall would be, don't you think they changed what the foundation was made of? And they have to go back and, kind of dig up the foundation, and instead of it being concrete, now it's steel or whatever, as just to use your reference. And
Well,
that they still haven't figured out what the foundation's even supposed to be.
Well, I think that's where my house reference falls flat in comparison to game development,
Mm-hmm.
because you try to make a prototype of what you think works and is fun, and when you implement it into the game, you might figure out you need more additional tech, or rewrite the code to make it fit, to make it more performant, and so on.
Okay. I wish they would do
I
that with
think
quantum travel. I don't think they will.
yeah, I think you can plan or pre-plan as much as you like, but it doesn't always come true when you actually implement your isolated prototype into the game, and then you start figuring out, so, oh, I need this and I need that, and
Yeah.
then you have to add it to make it work.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with anything you're saying there, man. It's tough, but do you think I asked the same question to Nick? Do you think our experiences in Star Citizen are going to improve? Do you think the roadmap is going to be more true to like anytime they put a new roadmap update out? Do you think it's going to stay more true, or are we still going to get a lot of movement on it based off of this?
It depends. When I first saw the release of their realistic roadmap, I still thought it was a joke, having, I think, 4 gameplay professions on the roadmap,
Yeah.
and that was never the case. We always saw, year after year, they get one profession into the game. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but still having 4 professions on the roadmap was still a joke to me. And I think if my takeaway from the Pillar Talk is correct, and they reduce it from the 3 or 4 or 5 professions to 1, and they really start working on a single feature and its dependencies at a time, and release it in an enjoyable state, I think that's the way to go, and that would be the realistic approach.
Yeah, and that may not be the way to go for most games, but for this game, unfortunately, I think it has to be.
It's
The experience
actually
has to be playable.
Actually, I disagree, because that's the way most games are done.
Okay.
You develop a core feature. I programmed for fun,
Uh-huh.
and every single tutorial I watched, and on how do I start, where do I start making a game?
Yeah.
Like the first thing that comes up is make a small game, make a small tiny prototype, get it done, and you figure out if it's fun or not. If it's fun, go ahead and expand from there, do the next feature, and if it's not fun, do it from scratch.
Yeah.
And that's just not what I think CIG is doing.
No, I mean,
I
there's
think
lots of features that just aren't fun, and it's because, but the argument a lot of times is like, oh, and I'll always use quantum travel as the argument, or the discussion point, I guess, is, well, quantum travel is not fun because there is no interdiction really, and you can't have this part isn't there, and that part's not there, and this part isn't there. So, what do you say to that? Where, like, what is, like, using quantum travel as an example, how is that a feature being developed?
Well, I think they implement quantum travel to see if it works, like if the tech for it works, and that's fine by me. And you can adjust the travel times. That's for me, it's down to balancing.
Okay.
What I don't understand is if you introduce things like overheating to the quantum travel, that's not necessary right
Yeah.
away. If I mean, personally, I still think you should fix how travel times work before you introduce more layers to travel times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree for sure. So I don't know. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, just like I said, if they really start, and that was my takeaway, if they really start finally doing one feature and its dependencies at a time and release that in a more controllable, enjoyable state,
Mhm.
because it's much less of a workload, I think the game would be more enjoyable over time.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. So I'm hoping, that's what it's going to be for me as a streamer, is slowly but surely the game gets more enjoyable and more enjoyable, but I don't know. One can hope.
Yeah, but like I always say, I believe it when I see it.
Yeah, exactly. So it all makes sense coming out of their mouths, but let's see how it is in practice over the next 2 quarters, I guess.
Yeah, that's also the reason why I didn't miss Chris, because I stopped believing in what he's saying post
Yeah.
2015.
Which is fair.
It's like, show me, don't tell.
Yeah. All right, IDD. I'm gonna leave you at that. Leave you with that, I should say.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Have a good one.
Talk to you soon. Bye now. All right, and our next caller is ASN. What's up, man?
Hey,
How's it going?
well, doing good. I hope you're well with the hurricane and all that stuff.
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna miss us. We should be all right.
All right, glad. I think it's the salt keeping the hurricane away.
Yes. My salt
All
takes the moisture out of the air, and it prevents the hurricane from coming this way because it wants to grow, doesn't want to shrink.
Yeah, true. Well, I mean, it's been an interesting week. I have some opinions, especially on the staggered dev that they've talked. Let me talk about the show a little bit itself, and then move on to what I think they were doing and what I think they're gonna more switch to now. The show, as mentioned by previous people, it wasn't a pillar talk, but essentially what I was more bothered with the show that wasn't mentioned was the fact that as production heads, as leads of every department, these people, I think you cannot force it, but I think they should be way more excited and open to share their experiences in development, rather than Aaron even saying, "Oh, I try to not be on these shows." Right?
Yeah, like
it's a small thing.
Why put that in? That's like a dig at us.
Yeah, it's a small thing, but I think if I were in his position, I'd be more than happy to go on a show and share what's been happening. It should be a pleasure. It shouldn't be something that you're forced to do, or this is another thing, right? And he has so much to talk about. I mean, it's crazy. But anyway, other than that, I would say that the content of it was lacking. It was the pillars weren't talked about. I wish that they even explained Staggered Dev better. I mean, the FAQ explained it better than the show did, which is funny because the show was mainly about that certain topic. So when it comes to the roadmap changes, I expected the big roadmap update for a while now, and finally they've done it. But there's a weird thing that I wish they communicated a bit better on the video, was the fact that we knew that certain features do take several quarters.
Yeah.
Now there are two different aspects to the roadmap, and this is how I see it. I always saw the roadmap as we're taking this from the internal documents, yes, but this is an image for the consumer and when they're going to get a patch per quarter. So this is not us showing you how exactly internally when we started development on something and when it ends. We've already doing that. We're just showing you which slot you're going to get it in.
Yeah.
Right? And we know that because mining took 2 quarters. We saw it on the ATC last year, way early on. And that quarter it was being developed. And then the next quarter it did release. And ships also are staggered anyway. So when they come up and say, we're going to do it staggered, I'm saying, well, weren't you already doing that a little bit? Or what? Is this now extending to the whole studio? Where did you prototype and test this production flow? And now are you expanding to the entire team? What in detail are you doing, right? Is it because this hasn't been happening? was already a case for some parts of the development. So you have to explain a bit more in detail what this whole decision entails the entire studio with. And that's like one thing. And the other thing is that, yes, it does make sense to overlap these teams so you get features that are better developed, and that's cool. But my argument was it was already being done that way. It's just that they were missing their quarterly targets.
Yeah.
Or if not, they should tell us, because there's not enough information to, to gauge that reality or not. Yeah, so essentially, more explanation on how it worked before and how it's going to work now. What's the difference? And is the roadmap now is it the same philosophy of, oh, you're going to get this quarter? Or are they going to actually improve the roadmap, which is what I thought they would do many, many months ago, is actually show that certain features extend over 2 quarters. So that you don't have
one. Okay, guys, we're working on this right now. Like, that's what you're looking for? Hey, guys, we're working on caves, and that's on the roadmap, but there's no release date for it?
No, it's more like, imagine it extend to 2 quarters. So like it takes a slot in both quarters. It extends, just like most project management tools, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how you have it, because not like most of the stuff in game development doesn't take a month, like 3 months to add.
Mm-hmm.
You're lucky some things do, but like the big stuff that SC is working on definitely is like 2, 3, 4 quarters. So it would make sense to switch it to more of a production tool sense if they want to actually show the reality a bit more closer.
Yeah, but do you think people will misunderstand and be like, oh, well, let me, because even I'm not understanding that much. So let me ask a question. Let's use mining for an example. And mining came in, I think, 3.1 or 3.2. Let's say that it extended over 3.1 and 3.2, but it actually released in 3.2. But if it showed up on the roadmap in 3.1, wouldn't that be confusing to the average backer and be where they would be expecting it then? Or is what you're saying that a part of mining comes in 3.1 and a part of mining finishes in 3.2?
No. It's not part. It's You see that it's the same thing as right now what they're saying with staggered dev, right? You see them working on it 1 quarter, but you see it like extend to the next quarter and release in the next one. So you already see that process. Like, I think that would be a bit more informative and a bit better to explain how these features are being developed. Yeah. And they were being developed. So
and what status they're in? Are they Are they in polishing or whatever? I get that, but I think the most important thing for the overall backing community is when, rather than the time it takes to get there, or what is being worked on currently. Like, I don't disagree. Yeah. That it would probably be a better way to display it, but wouldn't you agree that most of the community only cares about the when and not as much the how?
True, but it just creates a false expectation of how long it takes to develop these stuff. I think that's another, you have to manage perception, right? Because
which they don't do a good job of.
No. Like, not only do some of the things miss their dates, on top of that, you think that it's supposed to come that quarter and it's just been developed that quarter, but no, it's been developed for the previous 2 quarters, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just the combination of those things that makes things really, really confusing. Regarding the content, I'm actually pretty happy for 3.7. And funny thing is, whenever I first saw it, I'm like, okay, we're getting a bit of Death Stranding. We're getting a bit of No Man's Sky. It looks like Star Citizen is evolving to a bit of every game.
Yeah, like, it has been for a long time.
Yeah, it's very
literally
interesting.
Every game piled into one.
Every game in one game. Yeah, and I think it's gonna be. I was expecting way less from 3.7. If they actually hit 80% of those, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
So that actually makes me look forward to 3.7 now, instead of just, let's see how 3.8 will be.
I was not looking forward to 3.7 on its original roadmap feature list. I was kind of bummed.
Yeah, it was a bit lacking. The other thing that about Squadron is I always guessed that they will use the last 2 quarters of 2020, and they finally pushed it the beta to 1 quarter, which means the release is going to be what they expect is at least Q4 2020.
Okay.
Because you have to have your own beta time and then release after. Release itself is already 3 months anyway. So Yeah, I was kind of expecting that. It's just so one thing I'm slightly more worried about is the fact that they put so many features into the alpha optimization phase, which means that they're missing some targets again. But I hope they can catch up. We'll see by the end of the year how that progresses. Yeah, and that's about it. Like 4.0 looks very, very bland, and I kind of expect that they'll put more stuff in as we get closer to it. But I was kind of expecting that 4.0 to be, the next big leap, because
I feel like
every
they're gonna
time
call it something else.
Yeah,
4.0 doesn't make sense.
Because 2.0 was like open world FPS and dogfighting unites, and then 3.0 was planetary bodies, and now 4.0 has to be the next place. So I hope, at least we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, that's about it, and have a good one, and hope you stay safe with your salt shield protecting you.
I think we'll be okay. I mean, there's for those of you guys that don't know, I live in Florida, and there's obviously a big hurricane bearing down on us. I am definitely going to be affected by it, but I think the winds are probably going to be in the no higher than like maybe 50 miles an hour, which obviously our homes and everything are pretty well equipped to deal with that. Once you get into the 150, 135, like, it gets a little dicey. So we should be okay. We should be okay. Just hope that the power stays on.
I'm glad to hear that.
That's all. That's the only thing I'm worried about. I need my internet.
You only need internet. You don't need the roof.
I need my internet and my video games. Roof, windows, not so important. Air conditioning. That's the other thing. Air conditioning when you live here. So.
And now an architect answers the call.
Yes. So we're gonna bring him on. All right, ASN. Be good.
Later.
So ASN did a good segue into our next caller, who is a morphologist. So if you guys are big fans of the Architect Reviews series and a lot of the other stuff he puts up on YouTube, this is the man. So what's up?
Hello there.
What's up, dude?
Not much. I just got off a stream enjoying a bit of 3.6.2. I'm actually pretty satisfied with the state of the current bugs. It's a little
the state of
empty,
the bugs.
I mean, the state of the bugs is always a big issue for doing content, right? Because you want to be able to create the content, and that just gets in the way when you crash and you burn an hour because you have to wait to reload. It's no fun.
Yeah.
I didn't crash once in 3 hours, so I'm pretty happy with that. But we're here to talk about the Pillar Talk episode, and then the roadmap changes, and those are some really interesting subjects that I'd love to talk a little bit about and share my opinion.
Let's go.
All right, so in terms of the Pillar Talk, I think I'm generally with the community on this, feeling just a little bit disappointed with it. I understand that it's a great platform to introduce the new way they're going to be doing the development cycles, the 6-month staggered cycle. I think that's a great idea. In fact, I just thought of this just before I came on. It's actually a pretty positive way to handle the fact that 3.7 isn't where they wanted it to be. This is sort of a positive way to look at things, is saying, all right, we know it's not necessarily working very well. We're going to try something maybe even a little bit better. So I hope that that ends up being what it is. I'm not 100% sure. I'm a little bit worried about how staggered development is going to work in terms of like, are they going to merge the ones when they release the one staggered patch? Is that going to merge into the 3 months of the other one so they can deal with the bugs? I'm not sure how that's going to work.
What do you mean?
Well, like, okay, so that every time that they patch, they once they release, they start working on a new build, right? And it's detached, right? So what happens when there's 2 different development teams working on 2 different builds? I'm just curious.
The development teams are completely separate. They have QA guys associated with them. They have programmers associated with those teams. They work on their features by themselves, and only the feature that is being added into game dev gets added to game dev. The other team that's working on something else is still separately working on their own feature, and it's not being integrated into our game.
Right. Okay. So I could see how.
So it has no effect anymore. So now they get to just feature work, and we don't get a situation like we did with the law system where they're still putting it in with hover mode while they're still putting it in. Like, do you remember these patches where it's like, we're still working on the law system, we're not taking feedback on it? Like, what? Why is it in the PTU then? Right? So like all those things should go away because they should have plenty of time to fully finish the features as well as deal with any of issues that they come across integrating it into the game. Then they put it into Evocati. We clean up the mess that it all creates, and then it goes to PTU, where probably you're dealing with server instability. They get the server instability taken care of, and then you have a live build, and it should work relatively well. And then that team that's working on 3.8 is still working on 3.8.
Yeah. So
Is
I like
in a perfect world is how it
describe
should be.
to me. Yeah, when you describe it to me that way, I have a bit more confidence. But in terms of the cycles, I think that 3 months seems like a long time, but it really comes up on you because you got to start getting stuff out to PTU and Evocati like after 2 months. So the grind is got to be pretty brutal. So I think the 6 month thing will maybe even give some of the development teams a little bit of respite, so they can be a bit more on point with their skill set. Yeah, I think that you might be right. So I think from that perspective, it's really good. I like the idea that they're changing to the staggered. I'm really hoping it's gonna work out for them. I want to see them succeed. But and another, I do want to also talk about what we didn't see in Pillar Talk, which is kind of what kind of disappointed me.
Yeah.
And that was I was kind of hoping to see a bit more information, maybe about either server side OCS or server meshing.
Yeah.
They talked about it last time. I loved it. Chris Roberts was there, right? Wasn't he?
Was.
I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah. So I was a little bit surprised to not see him there. He's been completely out of the spotlight. I'm not sure what that's about. So from that perspective, I guess I was a little disappointed in Pillar Talk. I thought that that's what that was supposed to be about, because those are like the biggest pillars everybody is waiting for right now.
Yeah. It's true. So, that's one of the things I've been calling for months and months. Like, where is Chris? What is this? He needs to be on. He not only did I feel like he needed to be on shows more often, but now it's like, can you just show up like once, please? What's going on here?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's happening. Why he's kind of pulled back. Maybe it's a personal thing. Maybe he's just really burying himself in the work. Yeah. I hope everything's all right with that. But hey, I mean, the improvements to the roadmap, I think, and I do think their improvements are giving me a bit more of a positive feeling about the next patch. Because like you and ASN spoke of, I think the next patch is an even better patch than we had before. It might not have as many features, but the features they're adding are so important. Namely, I'm looking at FPS mining, the localized inventory on your backpack, and I think harvestables as well. I mean, ship rental is really cool, but these things, the FPS mining, in my mind, is really like the next step in making mining like an actual profession. Because we have a mining ship, right? But nobody can access that unless you play like for a month and a half in a PU and try to get in before it resets. Or you just buy the ship, which is kind of not accessible to a lot of people who just want to spend the $45.
Yeah.
So this way, you get a multi-tool, you go do some money, get a backpack, and you can start building your money that way. And I think that that's awesome. This is exactly what I think most of us have been looking for. Actual like development in terms of the gameplay mechanics of Star Citizen. So that's got me excited about 3.7.
Yeah, like I was not excited about 3.7 at all, and I'm pretty pumped about it. There's some meat to it now, where it was pretty bare bones in the previous iteration of the roadmap. So I'm pretty excited. 3.8 has a lot of stuff. So I'm curious about what the staggered development will do for that patch. How many things are going to move in, how many things are going to move out, and what's going to kind of happen with that. Especially since it's at the end of the year, we're not really going to get a 3.8.1, 3.8.2, because they go on vacation for like a month.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a while before we get anything after that. So my eyes are really on 3.8 to see what happens.
Well, I think for sure they're going to get 3.8 done, because looking at how much development has already gone into New Babbage, the Moons, and that whole system, I've been keeping track of the roadmap. I think it's pretty much confirmed at this point that they want to show this off at CitizenCon. This is going to be one of their highlight videos of the PU, aside from their big Squadron 42 next release. They're definitely going to be doing something for Squadron 42. We don't know what, but something big probably, right? But this is going to be their PU thing. To garner up a lot of interest, which they kind of need that right now, right? We talked about this the last time. there's a bit of a loss of interest from the community outside of Star Citizen right now, and it's kind of a little kind of deflating us as content creators personally, myself. But it's not helping the community grow. So yeah, we need a little bit more injection of excitement and hope. And I think and I hope 3.8 and CitizenCon is going to do that for us. So
all right. And is it cool if we confirm next week?
yeah, we can mark it down,
know.
man.
Yeah. So
Sure.
I'm gonna have Morphon as a guest host for Answer the Call next week, and we'll probably go a lot more into his Architect Review series, but it'll probably be pretty similar to our conversations that we have, is like a little bit more about content creation, and that tends to be what Morph and I like to talk about. So we're gonna have a show like that next week, and I'm sure we will also talk about whatever comes out of this Pillar Talk Q&A for Star Citizen Live as well. So we'll probably do a little intro to that, talk about that, and then go into the calls, and maybe people can ask you some more stuff about your content and things like that. But we'll definitely have like a topic to discuss. Most likely Pillar Talk V2. So we'll have to see what comes out of next week. But
yeah, maybe and I'm wondering if and I'm guessing it's probably the case that their stream and everything, they're trying to respond a little bit to the criticism from last week. So hopefully they even pick up a bit more of the Slack. Just give us a little bit more information, a little bit more red meat this week.
Yeah,
so.
I agree. But all right, Morph, I'm gonna let you go and call this show for this week. But I'm looking forward to having you on next week.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, man. Can't wait. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later, Mike.
Bye now. All right, guys, so that is going to do it for this week's episode of Answer the Call. Thank you so much for watching. Again, it's tough. Dude. It's tough to be a Star Citizen streamer right now, and I'm pretty excited what came out of Pillar Talk. I don't think it's going to be as tough anymore, so I'm looking forward to that. So we'll see. Again, I am cautiously optimistic. I think things will change a bit. I believed it last time with the 3-month thing. Again, I'm not a game developer, so I don't really understand how tough it actually is and what they deal with on a daily basis. But everything that's coming out of their mouth seems to make sense to me to kind of help the game as a whole here. So we'll have to see. But all right, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next Answer the Call. Bye, guys.